and welcome back to the channel. Thanks to the amazing team over at Show Z. In today's video, I'm able to bring you guys an advanced look at the Newage H23 Battle David, also known as the Legend Scale MP G1 Optimus Prime. Now, for those of you looking to add this guy to the collection, I shall of course pack a link down in the description box below. And as always, I'd really appreciate it if you guys could all smash that like button, as well as be sure to let me know down in the comment section below on what you thought of both the figure and the review. I'm going to be straight up with you guys and say that this could potentially be the best transformable version we've ever seen for G1 Prime, even being a rival for the significantly more expensive official offering by Takara Tomy. I do in fact actually think this figure does things a lot better when in comparison to the MP44 Prime, not only down to the engineering but also in terms of the material and the price point. I really do think that if you're after an affordable version of MP Prime, then this could potentially be the way to go, although he is indeed significantly smaller than that figure, but we'll delve into that throughout the review. Without further ado, let's get stuck straight in and take a look at how Prime comes packaged, that of course being in the trailer and truck mode. Now straight off the bat, you're able to see they've done a fantastic job here. I really do think the paintwork, especially here for the cab, looks incredible. You can see the sculpt work along the side, all of the various different nuts and bolts, especially around this door region, really do look awesome. I love the metallic chrome that we've got going on here for these smokestacks, and you can see the proportions all appear to be pretty much on point. As we spin our attention here to the front, you can see a really nice shade of silver used there for the grille, the headlights, as well as some nice grey and yellow detailings here for the base, and I'm a massive fan of the transparent blue that we've got going on here for the windscreen, and you can even see some minute details such as those window wipers. And I do in fact actually think that the trailer bed cleans up so much better when in comparison to the MP44 Prime. Honestly, the third-party companies are absolutely knocking it out of the park when in comparison to some of the offerings that we're getting officially by Takara Tomy and Hasbro. And of course, we've got Prime's iconic trailer, of which too I think has been recreated really nicely. You can see some really nice sculpt work going along the side. Of course, considering this is a third-party piece, there are no Autobot insignias here at the top of the trailer, nor here on the shoulder sections of Prime. But if you pick up some of those additional stickers that you can find online, I definitely think that you can spice this guy up and just make him that tad more accurate. And then as we spin here to the back of the trailer, you can see there the rear lights, as well as the various different struts that of course would in fact actually hold these doors together. We'll set the trailer here off to the side for now and in fact actually take a closer look here at this back section. Sadly, when you don't have the trailer attached, the feet do look on the rather ugly side, but once again, considering this scale, I think they've done a pretty decent job. And for the main trailer bed, once more, I do think that it is a little more cleaner when in comparison to the MP44 Prime. You can see some really nice silver detailings here for this gas can, and we've also got some really nice looking details going on there for the wheels. Now, as we turn our attention here to Prime's trailer, much like MP44, there is in fact actually quite a lot going on with this. So first up, you can indeed flip this here to the underside to deploy some additional landing gear, so we can just flip this up, and once again, this tool has also been sculpted really nicely. We can also take these sections here and just hinge these out to the sides, and then as we turn our attention to the back, you can of course open the doors up, which is a really nice touch, and of course split this open to reveal some very nice internal detailing. Once again, it literally looks as if though they've taken the MP44 Prime's trailer and shrunken it down here to the Legend scale. The attention to detail is fantastic. I love the grating that we've got going on here for the floor. You can indeed deploy the trailer ramp for if you wish to put some of their other figures in there, such as Bumblebee and of course Cliff Jumper, and we also get this entire mechanism here, which I believe is called the anti-gravity drone. At least that's what the Takara Tomy version called it, and you can see the sculpt work on this once again is really impressive. We've got the claw, which can open and close. We've got this arm here, which can hinge up and down, as well as rotate here on a ball joint, and the actual canopy section too is able to be risen and lowered, which is super nice. Now, it doesn't end there. We do in fact actually get a storage compartment where you can pack away some of Prime's additional accessories. So if we just wriggle this base section off, you can see I've got a few of the hands in fact actually stored in there. We'll touch base with these later on in the review. That is a really nice touch in my opinion, and you can in fact actually utilize this in order to create for a few various different attachments. So we can take this here and in fact wriggle this here off of Prime's trailer. So just detach this, and you can see that we do in fact get a port and slot that this here will simply just snap into place with it, just like so. We can then bring this section back in and of course snap that in there, and you can have this here rolling around to your own personal desire, which I thought was a really nice touch. Or alternatively, you can of course completely collapse the trailer back into its normal position, and we can bring in the roller accessory, which was a really nice surprise. You can see this too has been sculpted and painted for the most part really nicely there with a little red indicator light. We can take this section, hinge this up, which will reveal a port of which you can then peg the trailer into, and if you had the wheels actually attached, you could have roller here dragging the trailer behind it, which I thought was a really nice touch. So overall, I believe that just about wraps up the features here for Prime within the truck and trailer mode. Without further ado, let's get this guy fully transformed up and see how H23 David fares in his robot mode. And so here we have Optimus Prime fully transformed up into his wicked looking robot mode, and at least from an engineering perspective, I actually think this guy is so much better when in comparison to the rather over-engineered offering that we got officially from Hasbro and Takara, and dare I say, this figure may in fact do the robot mode just slightly better than MP44, despite being almost 1/3 his scale. You can see that in regards to the overall proportions, he truly does look as if though he's been ripped directly out of that original 80s cartoon series. I think the sculpt work there for the head looks great. The torso region is by far my favourite asset about this guy. I just think it looks awesome. I love how the transparent blue complements the really vibrant reds as well as silver. Granted, you can see there the matrix of leadership embedded beneath the chest, but this is in fact removable, and I'll demonstrate that in just a second if you wish to go for a slightly more clean, toon accurate look. This is in fact a faux piece, but personally I've never really had a critique with this, especially if it doesn't compromise the look of the vehicle mode, and this here is definitely a prime example of faux pieces executed well. You can see here for the arms, I think the sculpt work looks great, as so does this entire skirt region. You can see some fantastic sculpt work going on for the thighs, as well as for the shins. I do find these areas to be slightly ugly, and to be honest, they are the only area of which I wish was slightly perfected on this figure. As you can see, we've got two hollow spaces here, and if they could have found a way to have blocked this out, this guy probably would have been a solid 10 out of 10, but as he stands, he's definitely a 9/9.5. You can see here for the side of the legs, nowhere near as many panel lines as we saw from the official MP44, and even here from the back, I actually think he cleans up so much better, and they've even gone the extra mile to include some subtle detailings here to the entire back region of Prime here at this section, as well as here for the actual back of the thighs. So overall, such a nicely done figure, and not to mention that the materials used are also incredibly durable once more for the actual scale. Now in regards to articulation, Prime has got a ball joint here at the head, which can look up to a terrific degree, as well as can look down due to transformation, also really nicely done. Of course, he can tilt side to side, albeit very stiff, as well as in fact actually rotate left to right. We do get a full range of motion here at the shoulder, which can rotate the full 360, hinge out to the sides to roughly to 90, full rotation here just above the elbow, 90-degree bend. Would have been nice if this could have been a double joint, but due to transformation, I can definitely see as to why that wasn't possible. We do get a full rotation here at the wrist. The waist articulation is fantastic, so we do get a full rotation going left to right, as well as an ab crunch due to transformation, which can bend literally to 90, as well as all the way back. Now granted, it does become slightly ugly, and you can see there some of the die cast, which is reinforcing the joints, which is a super nice touch, but depending on how you actually utilize these joints, you can in fact also get him to hinge side to side at a slight angle, which really allows you to get him into some very dynamic poses. The legs here can kick forwards, and the skirt will in fact move out of the way to accommodate this, as well as can also kick back to that far. Of course, he can do the splits. We do get a rotation here at the thigh, a double joint here at the knee, and unlike MP44, this isn't in fact prone to breaking, which is excellent. And of course, finally for the foot, this can pivot forwards, backwards, as well as rock side to side. So if I'm going to be straight up with you guys, I think that in regard to an actual G1 inspired Optimus Prime, this figure is literally the full package. He does everything and more that I would expect from Newage, and I really cannot wait to see as to what some of their future offerings do entail. Now, as mentioned, of course, he's got the matrix. It's very simple to in fact actually get to this, so we do just open up the matrix chamber, which reveals some really nice sculpt work actually underneath this section, and you can see the matrix has been sculpted and painted very nicely. Of course, this is removable, although I would definitely take caution when actually removing it, as of course you don't want to lose it due to it being very small, but it is detachable. And if I just showcase how the matrix chamber looks with that removed, you can see once more a slightly cleaner look for Prime for those of you who wish for it not to be visible when on display. Accessory wise, in addition to the matrix of leadership, Prime comes with two pairs of interchangeable hands, so we do get some commanding gestures as well as some open palm hands, which are great for getting him into some of those more dynamic poses. And these do in fact actually have a hinge joint as well, which is a really nice touch. I hope I've been able to pull off some super cool poses towards the beginning segment of this review, and these are very easy to in fact remove. So you simply just pop off the pre-existing fists, and then these do just insert just like so, and once more they're on a hinge joint, so these here will hinge back and forth. We also do get included Prime's iconic Ion Blaster, which has been sculpted and painted pretty decently towards this rear section. You can see the sculpt work looks great, of course, can be inserted into either of the fisted hands and looks really cool with that. And if you just remove this fist, of course, we do get the Energon axe, which too looks really cool. You can see completely cast there out of orange plastic, and I love how it is in fact a lot darker here towards the actual base, and then becomes significantly lighter here towards the axe region. So overall, whilst it's not a ton of accessories, I definitely think he comes with the actual essentials that you would expect from this guy, and unlike MP44 Prime, they haven't packed in accessories of which are completely irrelevant to Optimus, or accessories that you would just never ever use. Here for a few New Age comparisons, we've got Optimus Prime compared alongside Galvatron, as well as Ultra Magnus. Sadly, I don't in fact actually own a heck of a lot of these guys in the collection, and it's definitely something that I'm looking to expand upon in 2022, but I think all three of these are exceptional. In regards to a Galvatron, this is by far the best Galvatron I own in my collection, and the same can also be said for Ultra Magnus, a figure of which I also have a review up and coming over on the channel fairly shortly of, so be sure to stay tuned for that. But I think Prime scale's awesome with these guys. Up until this point, I've only really actually experienced Galvatron, and if I'm going to be honest, I do still think Galvatron could potentially be the best one that New Age have put out so far, but their Prime is definitely close behind, and that Ultra Magnus once more is by far the best Ultra Magnus that I have ever picked up. So definitely really nice looking figures, and they're perfect scale for those of you who perhaps don't want to have enormous pieces within your display. They can in fact be a rather concise collection consisting of some of the best representations of which can transform that we may in fact ever see of some of these G1 characters. And of course, a comparison that I'm pretty certain all of you guys have been waiting on. Here we have the New Age David compared next to the official Takara Tomy MP44 Optimus Prime. Now, I know it may sound as if though I'm whining about MP44 Prime, but I actually really do like this figure. I do think that it is by far one of the best Takara masterpiece figures that have come out in recent years. But when you actually compare the scale and what the New Age version was able to accomplish, being once more almost 1/3 of the scale, it truly is amazing. And I do in fact actually find the MP44 to be way over-engineered, especially considering that the original G1 designs were fairly basic. You can see here from a front-on profile, I think they look almost dead on. Now, of course, granted, we do get the pins visible here from the front of the New Age version. That's just something that I personally put down to the size of this guy. If they'd maybe upscaled him to this size, I definitely think that would be something that we wouldn't see. And of course, we don't have the Autobot insignia due to this one being non-official, but you can see the shins don't look the best on the New Age version, but honestly, they don't look as bad as they are appearing on camera in person. And then as we just turn our attention here from a side perspective, you can just see how clean that New Age version is compared to MP44 Prime. I really do wish in some ways they had completely scrapped the entire sound effect gimmick that this figure possesses in order to essentially give us maximum screen accuracy, as this really is just way too large in my personal opinion. And then as we spin our attention here once more to the back, you can just see how clean the legs are on the New Age version. The Masterpiece version is just loaded with hollow spaces, as well as of course all of these different various panel lines, whereas this guy is really clean. You can see even from the back perspective, there's only 2 screw holes here. Granted, this one is a lot bigger, but I do just think they did a much better job in cleaning up this New Age version. So I would actually really like to see perhaps this figure upscaled to the official MP scale and see as to how it would in fact actually fare, of course, against our Takara Tomy offering. But I guess it really does just come down to personal preference as to whether or not you guys like proper scale MP figures, or if you're more than adequate with a significantly smaller, more concise collection of figures of which are near enough dead on to how they appeared on screen and can in fact actually transform. And so, some final thoughts for the New Age H23 Battle David, also known as the Legend Scale MPG1 Optimus Prime. Overall, I think this figure is fantastic, by far one of the best transformable versions of G1 Optimus Prime that I own in the entire collection, and honestly that's something that I wasn't expecting to say, considering that this guy once again is within that Legend Scale. I really do think New Age are smashing it in terms of the figures that they're putting out lately. I think in regards to truck mode, it looks awesome. It's super surprising that this guy, considering he's almost 1/3 of the scale of MP44, does in fact actually clean up a lot better in both robot and truck mode when in comparison to the official offering. I just think this New Age Prime is awesome. I think the trailer has so many features, pretty much all of the features that you actually saw on that official Takara offering. I think it comes with a pretty decent range of accessories, as mentioned, not a ton load, but definitely all of the ones that you would want for Prime. There are definitely none here of which I think are useless, like we actually saw once again from Takara Tomy. I think in regards to transformation, so much more free-flowing. It's a figure of which I've transformed many times since in fact actually owning him, something that I cannot actually say for the Takara Tomy Optimus Prime. And honestly, I think that robot mode is just exceptional, truly captures the appearance of the character model, of course from the original G1 series, the most iconic look for Optimus Prime that there will undoubtedly ever be. For those of you who are a fan of these Legend Scale figures, then this Optimus Prime here is definitely one that you're going to want to add to the collection, as it could potentially be one of the best figures that we've seen from this particular scale of all time. I truly do think that it is a work of art. I love the matrix of leadership. I love the fact that the materials are so nice. He does in fact have very durable plastic as well as die-cast implemented within him, and I think the paintwork too is really well done. The paint does not have any chipping on it so far, and overall I just think he's a solid almost 10 out of 10. Had they in fact actually fixed those gaps within the shins, he would have been almost perfect in my eyes, and as it stands, he practically is. So with all that being said, if you are after adding this guy to your collection, he's currently available and in stock right now over at Show Z, so for that of course I shall pack a link down in the description box below. below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on both the figure and the review down in the comment section below, and also be sure to let me know on whether or not you guys would like me to start reviewing more of these almost legend scale MP figures over on the channel. As always, I thank you all so much for watching. Until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.